and welcome to BRAIDAR, the Business of Beauty. My name is Jaden Paru, and you are listening to our 15th episode, actually. Wow. I feel like I say this every week, but it feels really like just last week that I started this. But in reality, we've been at this since, I think, October of last year, and we've covered so much. We've covered, like, the impact that Bratz dolls have had on current Gen Z aesthetics and sense of embodied identity, and how dolls are such a formative experience that young children have with conceptualizing their own fashion sort of tastes and experimenting with different things that they don't have access to yet in their current life stage. It's a way for them to kind of engage with a sense of the aspirational self and where they view themselves projected into the future by, like, how many years, whether it's like when they're in high school or whether it's like when they're older. And we also talked in much later episode about Barbie dolls and how they kind of fit into that. And it's the two different distinct expressions of how these very different dolls perform this function of like just development and individuation, I suppose. And we also talked about dress up games. We talked about virtual worlds. We talked about celebrity makeup brands. We talked about in-person brand activations and like physical retail spaces and what their role and value is in a post-COVID world and in a post, I guess, digital, post-social media sort of landscape, where the reasons why people go to these in-person manifestations of a brand, they differ at the moment in this current like landscape. So those are some, just a taste of the really interesting episodes that we've had and the really interesting topics that we've covered. But today is a very special day. So I've kind of been teasing this all along the BRAIDAR journey. For those of you who don't know, BRAIDAR, the Business of Beauty, which is this radio show, is an offshoot of a startup that I have, which is called BRAIDAR. And basically, BRAIDAR was my sort of way of trying to find a solution to a perennial problem for Black girls studying in St. Andrews, but not just St. Andrews, in other sort of predominantly white institutions across the country and even across sort of national boundaries as well. It's a really universal problem of not knowing where to get braids done while at uni. It's a really pervasive and quite marginalizing thing to experience because, as I talked about before in countless episodes, braids are really a way of celebrating your culture and connecting with that sense of history and a sense of personal expression and embodied identity and confidence. And particularly in spaces where you might feel marginalized or where you're sort of not represented as much in terms of your background and your ethnicity, it's a way of like holding on to that thing that is so core to how you express yourself, like as a person, like how you present what it means to be you and the different cultural nuances that are all kind of interwoven and tied up into like the experiences that you've had throughout your life and the experiences of those who came before you. It's just something that's so nuanced and yet there's so much weight to braids that it goes beyond just like wanting a new hairstyle. So yeah, so it's something that in the absence of which it kind of, in the same way that if you do have access to braiding facilities in a town or in a city, it's a signal to prospective students and even current students that there's a substantial number or amount of Black students and residents in that area, And by way of signaling that, it also implies that, if you are then to go to this uni and live in this town or this city, that you're not just going to be thrown in the deep end, that there is actually that infrastructure to kind of catch you when you arrive, and you don't face that whole like glass cliff of you get here and you just kind of feel way like sort of out of your depth in terms of things that make it easier to feel at home here and to settle down as like a fresher and everything. So yeah, the absence of that signaling is, it has the opposite effect, right? And nobody kind of wants to, even if, even though everyone celebrates diversity sort of initiatives in terms of really, really putting it on that front and center of the agenda and the strategy as it rightfully should be centered, we celebrate that, we encourage that, and we are really happy to see that. But I also feel that there needs to be that infrastructure to support the diversity that you're recruiting for and to support the diversity that you want to flourish, right? I believe that the best way to sort of encourage community to coalesce in a place and to really like get that going naturally and organically is to make it conducive to that community in the first place. And braids go a long way towards that. You know, right from the beginning of the process of looking for unis to attend and like kind of vetting and sorting unis, a lot of people, like if you check the forums, like the student room, and if you check just sort of these anecdotal sources, you can see a lot of evidence of young black students, especially young black girls, asking if there are, you know, are there black hair shops? Are there braiders? You know, like, can we get braids done? Like, can we buy expression or extensions or, you know, different questions? Because what they're really asking is, you know, if I come here, will I be the only one? What they're really getting at is, if I come here, am I going to be like, you know, even though we're pushing for diversity and it's great to like improve the diversity of an institution, am I going to be that like, you know, am I going to be the almost like the test subject or the you know, the originator of something, you know? Because while that's important, it's also a really difficult position to be in, and I totally understand if someone does not want to do that, because in essence, like in some universities, you're really actually sacrificing your student experience for that cause. If you do kind of like knowing knowing you'll be one of very, very, very few, you do kind of go there. Like if you love the course or you love the history of the place or different things like that, you know? So I just feel like nobody should have to choose between getting a stellar education, world class sort of education, or just engaging with a subject, or maybe there's a particular professor in this uni that you really want to learn from and engage with. You shouldn't be forced to choose between that and something that is so central to your identity and to that facet of self that you know, in the absence of that, you feel like you don't have that confidence to, you know, step out of your comfort zone and, you know, go up to those people, go up to office hours and make those friends. That's so crucial to Freshers Week and so crucial to kind of like setting that good foundation for yourself not to be isolated as, you know, the weeks go on and the years go on. So, yeah, that's sort of the inspiration behind BRAIDAR. And as you guys already know, I've gone through so many stages of like developing BRAIDAR, from just an idea to something that I was like doing lots of interviews with friends about and just finding out their personal experiences with this issue in St. Andrews and in Dundee as well, and really developing the infrastructure behind it in terms of the software, in terms of you know, what kind of, who would host it, like what would it look like what can I do on my end to make BRAIDAR a reality that's like functional and that actually like meets the need that's being expressed by everyone. So, without further ado, today's episode, the central focus is going to be about the BRAIDAR launch. I know a lot of you on our social media channels and just in my sort of circle of friends and network, a lot of you have been asking when BRAIDAR is going to go live. And I am really happy to announce that BRAIDAR will be going live, open for business, ready for bookings next Friday. So exciting. I'm honestly so excited that I can actually, you know, finally share all that I've been working on with you guys just out in the open, like in a way that you can, you know, like with the demos, for those who were part of the demos and the interviews, I kind of like went through it with everyone. I was there, and then like, people were able to ask me questions in real time, and I kind of like scrolled through the wireframe. But I love like now I'm gonna be able to put it out into the world, and Braidar is gonna be like something that you guys can interact with and really make your own in like your own time, right? In your own space, and actually as you would like when you want to make a booking, right? Because it's going to be live for bookings and for people to sign up and be members. So that is just beyond, that's just amazing to me, you know, because I think as a lot of you might know, if you're following us on our socials like Facebook, Instagram, it's Braidar, like all capitals for those who are not. Um, so yeah, for those of you who've seen our socials and seen our kind of journey as posted there, I'm really taking an iterative approach to building Braidar, which means like different, as I update the site, as I build different things, you know, Braidar is continually going to improve based on like the feedback that you guys are giving in terms of what areas you use most, for example, or what areas you know you would love to see on such a site as Braidar, for example. So I'm really going to be keeping my ear to the pavement in that sense, and really paying attention to how you guys interact with it, and continuing to develop it until it gets to that version that you guys are like, yep, this is everything I need. This meets my pain point, and you know, I'm loving it, you know, and that's just my ethos around Braidar, and I suppose any other sort of software based startup thing that I would ever do. So to that effect, you know, Braidar's I'll continue to tweak it, and I'll continue to refine it in this sort of iterative approach to I guess starting up. But you are all going to be able to be a part of that process through just the normal usage of the site. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah. So I thought it would be really fun to kind of make this interactive today. So if you guys have a phone handy, or you're listening on your phone, for example, you can actually go to www.braidar.com and have a look at the landing page. And there's an About Us section as well, just giving you a bit of that background that I've already touched on in terms of what is the real pain point and the need that Braidar is addressing and solving. So, yeah. So if you want me to spell out Braidar for those who maybe don't know, it's BRAIDAR and then .com. So, yeah. It's just, and you can kind of see the sort of aesthetic / vibe that I'm going for with Braidar. And my dream for it is really to tap into a lot of things I've been talking about on the show, you know? For the OG listeners, the OG Braidar fandom, you guys will know I've been talking about this whole like dress up game sort of fashion interface, and I've been talking about how cool that was to a lot of young people, and especially young girls, conceptions of what it means to engage with fashion in terms of like you have the wardrobe of the character and you like drag the different options onto the character, and sometimes that character you can take to represent yourself, and you can kind of engage with a sense of escapism or aspirational like fulfillment through how you dress up the character, right? And so that's really my vision for how I want the Braidar like user interface to be, and that's what I'm going to continue working towards. Because I really think that, as I said in another episode, game design principles can go a long way for e-commerce in this day and age, especially, you know, as I said, like we're kind of beyond the purely transactional, beyond the purely like, you know, an interface that's really sleek and really modern, but it doesn't have a heart behind it. Braidar has tons of heart, as I hope you guys will discover as you use it. So it's almost like if you think of a website like Stardoll, for example, it's a dress-up game website, right? But it's got a frame narrative of like, you know, your house in Stardoll, or your apartment, and the whole like world. Braidar, as a beauty concierge service, Braidar has its own world. It's like this sort of the department store of your dreams, but in terms of beauty services, right? So rather than clothing, what you're focusing on in terms of your sort of the purpose of being there, it's all about this sort of almost magical place where all of your beauty dreams are made a reality. And you'll really see this with the the actual booking page and the home page for when you make an account and everything like that. It's really got that feel of a dress up game, but more importantly, it's got that feel of like those avatar based games where you can click on different areas of like almost like a map and then engage with the different functionality that maps onto that area. So it's going to be really cool. And yeah, another example could be if you guys remember the Barbie like website where she had games and stuff. I've talked about this in another episode, but just for reference again, like they had almost like a map of Barbie's house, and the different areas of her house correspond to different types of games. Like for example, her I think there's like a closet, like a walk-in closet or something, and that's where a lot of the dress-up games are. She has a like in her bedroom, that's where some of the other games of like the decorating a backdrop are, you know? So it's different functionality areas, but it's almost like you create a narrative embedded into the structure of the website that just gives it that edge and just gives it that sense of like a diegetic feel that I think I don't know. I just like I like UI type of rabbit holes, I suppose, and this is just one that really I feel really speak to the vision of Braidar and the purpose as well. So I thought like, you know, gonna go all in for this this sort of particular niche. And yeah, I think it might be useful if I take you guys through how Braidar sort of works, you know? Because again, if you guys are following in real time, like on the website, you at the bottom of the About Us page, it's kind of an overview of how it works, but I can also chat through like the wider sort of like how you become a member, for example. You know, yeah. So, oh yeah, and another thing I should mention is if you're wanting to follow along and you're like, oh, why can't I access? You might be, if you're on a laptop or computer, that might be an issue of like if you can't access it because Braidar is a mobile only sort of a web app almost, so you can, so to speak, because just because of the different nuances of that dress up game user interface, it doesn't really translate as well to like me replicating it on the web version of just the platform where I'm making it. And a lot of the users in my interviews are mainly going to be using like from the feedback, they're mainly going to be using it on mobile. So I've really optimized and just focused on mobile rather than doing two at once. So yeah, nothing personal, but if you'd love to still follow along, just, you know, pick up your phone and you can join in. So, going to the how it works section, so at the bottom of the about page, you've got imagine, inquire, enjoy. But I'll kind of almost do a zoom out from that, those three steps, and give you an overview right from when you want to become a member. So on the Braidar landing page, the one that you guys will see on Friday, there are three sections. One is for existing members to log in, which, you know, obviously becomes usable when people join, because at the moment it's not live, so it's not, you don't have to worry about that for now. The second button is become a member. And the third one is like about us, you know, this same page. So really focusing on the second button, when you click on that and I'm assuming that people who click on that already know about Braidar. Otherwise, they'll go to like about us and then click on a become a member button, which will be on the about us page when it's live. Yeah, so when you click on that become a member, you can really see the package of what we're offering. And the interesting thing about Braidar is that we have different facets to the service. So the main facet is the concierge service, which is like you just tell us what you want, when you want it done, your budget, it's done. Like I'm on that. I'm sorting out for you. I'm organizing the whole booking. But we've also got some other features which are more similar to almost like a Pinterest feed, if you can think about that. But it's only of styles and other girls in your area who've done bookings with like nearby stylists, right? So you're actually seeing a feed that's hyper specific to your location, a hyper specific to, you know, what you'd actually want to book. Because as we all know, people, it's lovely to see people's work from all over, but you can't really, it doesn't really do you much good if you have a picture or like a booking link to someone in Atlanta or someone in Accra, you know, when you're in St. Andrews, doesn't do you much good. So we are really trying to bring that functionality to you right where you are while you're studying, like bringing that convenience to you. And yeah, so that's just another feature. And there's a third surprise feature that will be rolling out quite soon, but I don't want to go into that now. You know, that may be the topic of a future episode, perhaps, but I just want to kind of give an overview that you've got so much that you can really dive into with BRAIDAR. And the way that you can access BRAIDAR is by membership. So we kind of operate in terms of how people can become members and users. We operate with a subscription-based membership. So once you click become a member, you'll see an overview of what that subscription entails. You'll see the price, you'll see the different features and the benefits that you get, and you know, you can opt into that, right? So when you opt in, you will be taken to a kind of almost like an invoice page, like, you know, when you're doing online shopping, right? If you think about this like online shopping but for braids, you have that overview of what's in your basket, right, before you finally click, you know, check out and pay. So when you get to that overview page, all you have to do is like input some details about yourself in terms of your name and like your email to actually create that account for you. And once you've done that, once you've input those details, you can just you know, hit checkout on that membership subscription, and then you're all good to go. So it's going to be a monthly membership type of thing. And yeah, once you've kind of become a member, you'll then be taken to your sort of homepage. And as I outlined before, I'm really embracing the whole like dress up game, virtual world, like fashion, beauty, department store based narrative. So that homepage will be almost like your private lounge in the department store, or like your, not a booth, it's like a big room. You'll see it. You'll see on Friday what I mean. So yeah, really bringing that feel of, you know, the star dolls of the world, of like just the different like dress up games that you've played in the past and really enjoyed. Really bringing that into your current life stage and into the kind of ways in which you want to engage with fashion and beauty, you know, as a young adult today. So once you get to your sort of dress up space, you will see different buttons to take you to the different areas, like the, you know, what I said about the feed, the local feed, you know, what I said about the concierge service, and then the secret third one. You'll see buttons for all of those. And you also have a button that allows you to rebook a style and and the stylist that did that style for you. Obviously that has value when you've made a first booking, but I'm just giving an overview, as I said. So yeah, why don't I start with the concierge thing and really dive into what that means. So as you've probably read on the about page, the concierge service is really about making your, like, the styles that you have in your head or the styles that you've saved to your phone or your Pinterest boards, really bring them out of that space that's really aspirational and really like, oh, I wish I could you know, rock this. I wish I could have this, or I want to like be this. Really taking that out of the aspirational space and the like, almost like your wish list, so to speak, and pulling it into the real world, you know? We're that bridge between your intention and the fulfillment of that intention, right? So the concierge service starts with you really, the only work you have to do in that aspect is imagining what you want to look like next. Like, what's your next look? What's your next dream aesthetic? You know, what do you want to tap into? What do you want to say about yourself in this particular moment, you know? So you can pull from your Pinterest boards, you can pull from Google images you've saved on your phone, screenshots,
You can even create your own look in terms of just type, what's in your head. Type the style name, whether it's, I want French curls, layered, color 8 and color 613, You can really get creative and craft your own sort of bespoke look, and just all you have to do is just tell us, you know? And then once you've kind of input, be it the picture, the description, or even a link to like a TikTok video or YouTube video that really encompasses what you want, once you've pasted that, then all like the next thing is just to say when you want it, where, like, just the details of that actual booking in terms of the where, the when, the what price, like your budget, that will all be in the questions in the quiz format. And the way the quiz format is, again, as I said, you're going from your personal sort of lounge, like your dress up room, your dressing room almost, to the different areas of the like you can access the different areas of the department store. So the concierge service is in one area of the store, and you'll see it. It's really, like, I don't know, diegetically it's very satisfying, because again, tapping into that sense of like the dress up games, or like, the quizzes on Girls Go Games. Sorry, the quizzes on Girls Go Games that you click different options, and you're in like this like fancy boutique, and like it's just so satisfying on an aesthetic level. That's really how our quiz is. It really feels like, at least I want it to really feel like you're um answering questions, and you're sitting in this sort of like walk-in closet almost, like, location. It's it should be a pretty novel way of engaging with requesting services, and engaging with e-commerce and online sort of shopping. I really wanted to bring a narrative feel to it, and I really wanted to bring like a storytelling element and like a dress up game element to that. So that's kind of how the quiz is going to be. It's almost going to be like you responding to questions, and then through your responses, that you just click on buttons, you just type the answers, and we collect all those responses, and that forms basically the inquiry, the that word is hard to say. That forms your booking request, that we then say, okay, you've given us all the details. That's when we hop to work, and we start matching you based on your specific criteria with braiders who are in our network. These are people that I've met in person. These are people that I've traveled to actually like see them. I've viewed their work. They have their own portfolios on Instagram and on other sites. Some even have their own websites, and these are people that I can really say that they're just so talented, and they've also got like such a like the what's the, like when your passion kind of aligns with someone else's passion so perfectly, and the like cause that you're kind of aiming towards, like they really buy into it, and buy into the I guess mission of trying to make this space and this university a more welcoming place for diverse students. I think that's something that really resonated with me when I met up with them. So these are people that I'm more than happy to connect you guys with, and whose businesses I'm absolutely more than happy to champion on BRAIDAR, and to do what I can in terms of visibility, and in terms of connecting with a whole new client base. So that's basically the hard work that BRAIDAR takes out of your hands. You don't have to do the scrolling on Instagram through like different options, and then you type specifically on Instagram braiders in St. Andrews, or you type braiders in Dundee, and they're giving you braiders in America. They're giving you braiders in Nigeria. It's just that the algorithm is not, it's not sufficient. It absolutely is not sufficient, and I think it frustrates people all the more, because it's such a natural thing to want to have a visual interface to like look at people's work, right? And to look at the kind of braids that they've done before for different clients, to see visual sort of reviews, right? But if Instagram is not even good at sort of bringing out the accurate search results to your query, then you actually can't get that done, you know? And it's the same thing on other booking sites. Like there's one called Booksy that some people are familiar with. There's some others that are more specific to black hair. But again, type in theirs is more of like you select, like, you know, on Airbnb you select from different drop downs. You type, or you select box braids, you select Scotland. Why am I seeing zero results? Why am I seeing no results for braiders in Scotland? Or why am I seeing, you know, only a few, and then those will be like in cities that are so far away from you that you just feel like the time investment is just like, you know, it's just prohibitive. I just think we don't have to settle for that, you know? And I feel like a lot of us are tired of being confronted with like all these things that are essentially dead ends in what should be a very simple and a very enjoyable process of like getting a new hairstyle done, you know, and connecting with something that is so, as I said, core to your identity, right? So with Braidar, you're not gonna have to, you know, you don't have to worry about all of that. You don't have to sit there scratching your head, like, you know, knocking your head to find braiders, because we've done all the finding for you, and we've done all the vetting for you. All you have to do is you just dream big, put it down, what you want, when you want it, where, how much, and you know, your job is done. That's really the convenience and the ease that we bring to our members and our clients, right? So that's that's something that I really am proud to be able to offer the community in St. Andrews and also in Dundee, because those are my two sort of focus areas for now. And absolutely, absolutely, I would love to spread out to other unis in Scotland and also in the north of England as well, and possibly even the rest of the UK. Although I think in other cities like London, the pain points and the jobs to be done are different, because there's a saturation of braiders there that we don't necessarily have like up here. So it would be a different sort of offering slightly, but definitely like other unis in Scotland, north of England, in the sort of more immediate strategic plan for Braidar, that's like, you know, those are places that I really want to roll out to, right? So yeah, and that's the concierge service, right? But we've also got the feed based sort of discovery element of Braidar. So if you can think back to the whole department store dress up game interface, this will be a whole other like wing of the store where you can browse like, you know, videos and pictures, as I said before, of girls in your area who've actually booked with our stylists, you know, and they've actually gone through the whole sort of Braidar process of the concierge service, and they've gone to the bookings. They've had like great experience, you know, and they're actually posting about it, and you can see the finished results, you know, and so that aspect of things is, as I said before, it's more like Pinterest in terms of you've got like a page of just like, you know, media and like different things to both inspire you and to also like answer your questions that you might have in terms of, oh, what does this style look like in you know, in sunlight? What does this style look like on, you know, this girl? Like what would it actually look like if I were to go with this style that I've dreamt up, or this style that I've sort of seen in passing on Pinterest, right? So the discovery feed of Braidar is really meant to tap into that element of social proof and just add another layer of security and trust to that convenience that we're offering you. Because we're like, you know, we are providing you the optimum service for getting braids in your area. And if you know, if you have any other questions, if you have any other, you know, if you want further proof of that fact, just look no further, because there are all these girls who've done the services with us, right? And they've had great experiences. So that's really what I wanted to offer people with Braidar as well. And with the feed, it's also really cool because you can actually book. You know, if you see a girl's style and you're like, oh my gosh, this looks so nice, you can actually book that exact style with that exact stylist. You know. So unlike on Pinterest, you click on the style, you're seeing Cape Town, you're seeing Amsterdam. You know, you can't actually get that exact. You know, like you know how individual people, they have their, they have their finesse, their technique that they put into, or the spin that they put onto particular styles that keeps clients coming to them specifically for that style. You know, if the picture and the like, in a sense, visual review is not specific to your area, then you kind of can't tap into that. But with Braidar, you absolutely can. Absolutely can. You can click right on that picture, and you, all you have to do is put when you want that, and you know, you'll see where the person is, you see where the stylist is based, because on that discovery feed, something I forgot to mention, but on that discovery feed, you can actually narrow down what it is you want to see. So not only are we giving you access to, like, almost like the behind the scenes of so many people's, like, testimonials, visual reviews, like post appointment, like how it holds up, how the style holds up, but you can actually, you know, filter through that to be hyper specific to what you want to see and what you want to, like, get inspiration for, or what location you want to narrow down the results for. Because, as I said, we're St. Andrews and Dundee focused. So if you just want to see Dundee, you can click on the filter for Dundee. And not only that, but drawing on, episode 3 of the Braidar Business of Beauty podcast, you can actually filter results by aesthetic. You can filter results by occasion that you want. So, like, if you want to see inspiration for what other people are doing for grad, or for, like, a ball, or for their birthday, you can filter by that. You can also filter by the name of the style, So if you kind of want, you're like, I want like passion twists, right? But I don't know what kind. I don't know if I want short or long. I don't know, like, what are the people sort of doing nowadays? What are the new spins on the style that are coming out, So you can filter by that. You can also filter by color as well. And yeah, so you just got all these options to really have a truly personalized experience with Braidar. Because, as I said, we're all about wish fulfillment. We're all about taking what's in your mind or in your heart to, like, engage with and tap into, and being that bridge and that link that actually hands it to you on, almost like on a platter. So gone are the days where you have to, like, sort of long for things and wish, like, oh, if only there were people here that could do this style, or if only, like, if only I knew where people are getting braids here, or, like, you don't have to feel despondent, like, oh, there's just no one here, like, the after trying to search for people, and really understandably, like, people have come to that conclusion. But Braidars is your solution to just another way of being and engaging with this town that has a lot to offer, and just, not feeling limited by anything. That's really my goal. I don't want black girls in this town to feel like they're limited to a sort of small existence or a minimized existence. Like, nothing should hold you back from enjoying and making the most out of this town and out of your uni experience. I mean, even just for the fact that you paid for it, talk less of, like, I feel like, as a person, everyone has the right to feel welcome, feel celebrated. And Braidar, if we can go some way towards helping to achieve that, will be I will be so happy. So yeah, you can do a lot of filtering and making it really personal on the discovery feed. And as I said, you can book right from the media. So you can just click on the picture, click on the video, and it'll take you to, like, the details of that style, like, how much they paid, different things, like, it'll tell you the texture of the attachment that they use. Like, that's how granular and detailed and, like, sort of, that's because of the extra mile that Braidar goes for you. And that just is an example of such. Like, have you ever had this when you have a style, maybe you found it on Pinterest, and you go somewhere to get it done, and the extensions that you bought, maybe you bought deep curly extensions to make, like, the curly part, like if you're doing boho braids, for example, and you come there to find out that it's actually loose wavy that you needed. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had it that you've searched for, like, a week for a particular texture of attachment? You bought it, maybe you, like, got it online, right? And you know they be quoting crazy prices for extensions online sometimes. And you get it and you finally have it delivered and you're like, okay, I've lined up everything, I've organized everything. They're like, sorry, it's loose wavy, It's like I can use it, but it's not gonna come out how you want it and how you kind of think it will. And you're like, right. This is not. This is like, is this reality? So Braidar is just, because I'm part of the target audience, right? And because I've had these experiences, because it's like I'm immersed and part of the community, I can kind of preempt some of these problems and like based on my past experience and based on like, you know, like different stories that I've heard from friends and different people, I can preempt a lot of these things on the Braidar website to make it so that you don't have to go through that, right? You don't have to go through spending £30 on attachment that's not the right texture, or like, if you don't know the particular color mix that they've used, sometimes, because nowadays it's all about the custom color mixes, okay? So you don't have to do guesswork about what they used. You don't have to say, is it color 6 or 8? It's all going to be written out for you on Braidar. Everything's going to be transparent in terms of like what actually went into doing the style. And you can also see the client, as in like the person who got the style, their feedback. So you can see the visual sort of outcome of that booking and that appointment. But you can also see their feedback of like, what was it like during the appointment, right? So I think that's a really useful thing as well. And another thing that you can see once you've clicked on, be it the picture or the photo, you can also see a 360 of what the style looks like. And now I know you guys, like, if you've been on especially TikTok and you've seen sort of like braid, sort of black hair content creators, the amount of comments are saying, "Can I see the back of your head? Can I see the side? I want to show my braider. I want, like what's the parting? What did the parting look like? How did you part the back? How do all these nuances that if you just take a straight up, front selfie, all these nuances can't be captured. And then if someone wants to replicate your look, they can't replicate it with just a front, selfie, like snap and go. Like, you can't really communicate that. And Braidar, because our purpose is for facilitating booking and facilitating you getting your dream look, then we are able to kind of give you that almost like behind the scenes access of like a comprehensive look at the style. So we've got built-in 360 videos of the style that you want to look at, so that when you are deciding like, oh, do I want to book this? Maybe if you're someone who is having some, like, for example, if you're dealing with some scalp issues, if you're dealing with traction alopecia, for example, and you're looking for styles that have bigger box sizes for the box braids or partings, you can actually make an informed decision on whether you want to book that style or not. You don't have to get somewhere and then realize, oh, it's actually too small, or it's too, it's going to damage my hair. You can make a fully informed decision because we are able to kind of give you all that information up front, right? So that's something that you can really take advantage of with Braidar. And you can also, from that feed, you can also have it such that, with the concierge service, right? It's after you give all your details and like the details of the look you want, or like the feel of it, or the link to the video. It's after you give me all those details that I then do the vetting. Like, then I start the matching, right? Once I know what you want. And then with that, there's a bit of a lead time, obviously, with any sort of concierge service, like even with personal shopping and personal stylists, like for retail goods, there's always that lead time for like actually sourcing the request or the desired item in the case of personal shoppers. So you do have that lead time. But with the feed, what's interesting is that you can actually make a booking in real time. So you can actually go from seeing the style details to, seeing the stylist availability. You select from the availability, you select the time you want, which will automatically in our Braidar calendars for the feed, right? In the feed calendars on Braidar, the only clickable options will be when the stylist is actually free. So it's not a case of like you you don't have to put any guesswork into that. You just have to click on the dates and times that are not grayed out, that fit with your schedule and fit with your what you want, or like when you want it done for, right? So you can actually do instant booking with the Braidar feed, and that's another really cool feature that we're offering. Yeah, so that do I tell? No. I was like, should I? No. Okay, okay. I'll just tell you. I'll just tell you guys. I'll just tell you guys. So the secret third feature, which I said we're rolling out a little bit, um, after the launch, we're just focusing on the two sort of core ones, which is the discovery feed and the concierge. The secret third feature. Should I say it? Should I? No, I'll just say it. I'll just say it. So our secret third feature is something that's akin to, I don't know if you guys have heard, but with thrifting, right? There's lots of accounts and content creators that are all about like their thrifting hauls, like HAUL haul, thrifting hauls, and curating different outfits. And like I talked about in episode 3 of this podcast, that different aesthetics, like maybe they do a thrift haul for, what do they call it, like grunge aesthetics, or sort of McBling aesthetic, like really sort of niche but hyper specific curation of these people who go to different thrift stores and actually find each individual component, like be it like they find shirts, they find camis, they find mini skirts, or berets, or different things like shoulder bags, that really fit the McBling aesthetic, for example, or any aesthetic, like fairy grunge, like that you know tech wear, that kind of thing. It can really be for anything that the person wants to embody, or that the person feels like aligns with their sense of self and like who they want to present as. But also like they can do it for fun, like for their audience, or just like for a challenge. So it's really, really engaging phenomena, these thrifting hauls. But I think not not I think I know that there's another way that they take it further, and it's actually with the curated style boxes. So they're not just thrifting and doing these um, curations of different aesthetics based on like their own consumption and their own ownership, but they're actually creating it into a service where you, as their fan or their customer, you can actually request a style box based on an aesthetic. So some of them have it such that it's a preset aesthetic. Like let's say it's uh, rock star aesthetic, or downtown girl, or light academia. They have the title already given, and then you request that, and then you can say, I want uh, tops and skirts, or I just want trousers, or I just want accessories, and then they will kind of curate those items based on what you want, right? Basically like a personal shopper for these like luxury department stores. It's the same sort of functionality, but with a focus on aesthetics, and a focus on almost that, like linking to another episode of our podcast, almost like gacha, like a gachapon game type feel, where it's like a mystery box, like all those mystery box on mobile games, but in real life and for fashion, which is so cool. Yeah, and then other ones have it such that you can actually request a style box based on your Pinterest or a mood board that you've made. So you kind of give them that mood board, and you've already curated it according to your personal taste, according to whatever the motivation behind it is. Be it you're creating a grad mood board, or you're creating a you know what different aesthetics, right? Like soft life. You can create like princess core, cottage core. You are the one who sets the terms and sets what qualifies as that aesthetic to you. So once you've made that, you give them that you link them that Pinterest board, or you give them that mood board that you've made, and then they curate pieces that really tap into and fit into that mood board, that aesthetic as represented by the mood board. So it's not just they create cottagecore stuff, like they just pick it from their brain and they say, oh, this should be cottagecore. No, it's really, really, really hyper focused on your personal expression and interpretation of cottagecore, or of any core, for example. Or even just, you don't even have to put a label on it if you don't really if you're not really a fan of aesthetics, you don't have to put a label on it. Just your personal style, you curate it, or even just for like a vacation. If you're going somewhere and you feel like this place has a certain vibe and I'm going to match that, you curate that, you give it to them, and they fulfill that. They really are those links between your Pinterest self, your Pinterest ideal life, and your real life. So that's what our third service is. We offer essentially like style box functionality, but obviously we're not offering physical like tops, fashion pieces, accessories. We are offering a sort of booking experience in terms of how you can get that style. So, sometimes, right, when you save styles on Pinterest, you're saving it in the context of a wider Pinterest board. Like maybe the board has outfits that fit that aesthetic, and it has shoes, and it has, the location or the hotel or the beach that's like nearby, or it has like fun activities that you guys want to do. Like this is for vacation theme, by the way, that you want to do while on that vacation in that place. And it also happens to have the hairstyle, like maybe faux locks with some like curly boho pieces and like color 6 with some color 8 highlights or something like that. So the hair is really contextualized in a broader context of the actual dream that you have for that like moment in time, or that period of your life, or that really that sense of an embodied self. It's not just like hair. Oh, I think this hair could be nice, and it's just sort of floating in some abstraction. It's always contextualized in, on one level, a wider look. So usually with like a makeup look that you want to do for maybe the first night in the new location of the vacation. Like maybe when you go to a particular restaurant, you want this makeup look, and then the next, like the second night, another makeup look. Like you plan out the you plan out your look in a very cohesive way. So as you're planning the makeup, you've got the hair on the board, but you've also got the nails that you want for that vacation, right? And these things are all corresponding and in dialogue with each other, because they're not clashing, right? They're all based on your personal curation, and that means that it's going to be cohesive to you, right? It's all going to make sense when you wear it all, right? And when you've got it all installed, right? So Braidar, that's like that whole thing of cohesive fashion looks. That's my heart for Braidar. Like when we, and I've said it before, but when we expand to different beauty verticals, that's what I really want you to be able to do on Braidar. Like within our dress up game UI, like that whole feel, you can really just think of your ideal look for this particular moment or purpose or anything, and get the nails booked and the hair booked and the lashes and the brows all on our site, all on Braidar. You can kind of plan out this look that you want for this period or this occasion in a very holistic and sort of cohesive way that doesn't sort of isolate the different aspects of the look. Because again, once you get the whole look, it's all like, it's a cohesive you, right? That's wearing all these individual pieces of a look, like nails, hair, makeup, lashes, brows, right? So that's really how I feel Radar just innovates on the shopping experience for beauty. So yeah. So that's kind of our third functionality area. You can send us your mood boards or your Pinterest stuff, and then we do the whole the whole shebang for that look. We are like the concierges that fulfill that for you in a cohesive way. So that is going to be really fun. But again, it's a later feature for the site. So I just thought I'd just tell you guys now. So yeah, this has been such a nice episode. It's been so nice to tell you guys finally what I've been working on, and just to share that with you guys in anticipation for next Friday. And I hope that you've also been able to notice that everything that I talk about in Braidar, the business of beauty, sort of maps onto Braidar itself as like a site, as a service, as a business. Everything that I've said, are things that I'm trying to put into practice in my own startup. So it's not just like I'm trying to say, you should do this, you should do that, they should do this, they should do that. Like, I guess on one hand, that's still okay if someone wants to do that, like, just for fun. But I also feel like it just, when I talk about it with you guys, it motivates me even more to want to put these into practice in my own business, right? And the reason why I started Braidar the Business of Beauty. It wasn't so much to like share everything that I'm doing in the business, but it just so happened that the things that were my interests and the things that I really love talking about, like the sort of cultural impact of dolls, the fashion impact of dolls, evolution of their like lines alongside the like the what do you call it, maturity of their target audience, the different things about mobile gaming and materiality of like apps in the app store, the virtual worlds, virtual currency, digital beauty, like in-person activations and physical retail spaces being more like innovated upon for community coalescing rather than just straight transactions. Those are things that I actually in my free time love to research and love to think about. So it just so happened that it also really mapped onto everything I was doing with Braidar. So yeah, maybe that's why another reason why I'm like eager to spend time working on Braidar, because it just taps into things that I just happen to like. So yeah, um, been a lovely episode as always with you guys, and I can't wait to catch you next week, same time, same place, same day for our next episode. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and this has been Jaden Paru with the business with Braidar, the business of beauty. Bye for now.